Hello literature connoisseurs. Let's begin Chapter 7 of Tribulation Force. The chapter begins with Rayford talking to his boss. Rayford tells him that someone else told him that the new Air Force One plane is a 757. He asks why he keeps getting told this. The real question should be, why are you changing the subject of this meeting? Rayford gets called in to discuss his so-called witnessing, and before that gets resolved he's suddenly talking about Air Force One. It gets said that the current pilot for Air Force One is going on a forced retirement. For some reason the new pilot's being picked from Rayford's company. His boss then reveals that Rayford is on the list of the contenders. Rayford immediately rejects the offer, saying he's not interested, but his boss objects. This becomes more stupid writing by the authors. Initially this was a push to promote the lie of Christian persecution because he can't force his religion onto others he works with. Trying to push the quote "we love you" end quote narrative is unconvincing, especially when Christians love to persecute the LGBTQ+ community. There is no greater hate than Christian love, so it's no wonder people dismiss the bullshit when Christians spout that. Now switching from Rayford being disciplined to him being promoted makes no sense. If he's being disciplined for violating company policy, then why is his boss trying to promote him? His boss is shocked that he's not interested in the money, but this is another stupid tidbit. His boss should be more shocked that Rayford isn't interested in the prestigious title more than the money. Not everyone is money hungry, so why should this surprise a boss? Rayford can't be the first to reject an offer because they are not interested in money. The fact is that the authors are trying to paint Rayford as a good Christian that is selfless and follows the examples in the Bible. Which he is anything but. However, even among Christians there is nothing wrong with getting better, higher paying jobs. Having money and earning money is not something that the Bible forbids. It's being greedy and loving money more than God that it forbids. It should be pointed out that if a God exists, then maybe it was trying to give Rayford the promotion, and Rayford's attitude is him spitting in the face of his God while pretending to be humble. Rayford and his boss keep going back and forth arguing about the job. Skipping past this nonsense, we eventually learn that the reason the boss wants Rayford to take the job is that he, himself, has applied several times for the job but was rejected. He thinks he can live out his dream through Rayford. Not sure how that works, since most times a parent lives out their dreams by watching their kid succeed. His boss won't be able to stand by Rayford's side and watch him at the new position. Kind of an empty thrill of Rayford getting the job and then getting fired for pushing his religion onto others even after being told to stop. His boss urges him to take time and think about it before rejecting it out of hand, but Rayford is too narcissistic to do that. Rayford then pressures his boss to show him the complaint, and the boss does. This is mind-blowing because all companies have non-disclosure and non-retaliation policies. Violating these can result in state or federal charges depending on how the laws get violated and the state laws in general. Usually the identities of the person filing the complaint is protected so that they cannot be harassed or bullied by the person they are complaining against. Here we have the boss helping Rayford get the information he needs so that he can potentially bully the one making the charges. It gets revealed that a secretary of the tester was the one filing the complaint on behalf of her boss. The authors paint Rayford as being the only one smart enough to see a problem with this whole ridiculous scenario. Scene changes to Buck and Nikolai as Nikolai asks Buck for permission for his staff to return. Buck makes another sassy comment, then the staff returns. Funny how the Bible talks about respecting those in leadership positions above you, but once again Christians only follow their book of bullshit when it's convenient for them. Buck was initially respectful to Nikolai, but once he became a Christian he now only respects himself. If Nikolai, the Antichrist, was so evil, then why is Buck so brazen when he could be killed for his disrespect? Nikolai reveals that since Buck wants to live in Chicago, he wants to buy a newspaper there and have Buck run it for him. He promises free reign to Buck and a lot of money and prestige. Buck acts like Rayford by objecting while not having spent any time considering his options. Nikolai also tries acting like Rayford by stating some nonsense about his motives being pure. Funny how the hypocrisy of this doesn't seem to be recognized. How if the Antichrist says his motives are pure, then it's wrong to do that, but if a Christian says their motives are pure, we're supposed to believe that nonsense? While one could argue that the authors are trying to teach Christians a lesson here and show the folly of using love and other such nonsense for what it is. However, considering the way the authors write, that seems to be giving them too much credit. Buck finally admits defeat and Nikolai asks him to think things over. Which is the sensible thing to do, but Christians are anything but. Scene changes to Rayford and it gets revealed that the call from the secretary came from New York. Rayford instantly realizes who made the complaint. They did this by illegally tracing the call because only members of law enforcement are allowed to do so. Rayford leaves and then calls Hattie and she stupidly laughs the whole thing off as a joke. The authors struck again as they made a woman seem weak and petty and foolish. More of the typical Christian mindset discussed previously about making female characters dumb while the males are superior. Scene changes to Buck as Hattie is answering the phone call during the meeting with Nikolai. She then tells Nikolai that the target has taken the bait. This is getting really silly at this point. So the Antichrist wants a Christian to take a high-level job? Why exactly, and why are they trying to force him to do it? While this is going on, Buck is daydreaming about how he wants to be with his foolish Force friends. You know, the same people that he does not trust to confide in. He thinks about how smart Rayford is, not sure what makes him think that. Then he comments about how mature Chloe is. Excuse me? Chloe, the fully grown adult that has been acting like a 3-year-old the entire book. We are to believe that she's mature, insert eye roll. Scene changes to Rayford as he arrives home to Chloe acting like a child again. Buck calls and she throws one of her temper tantrums. The rest of this can be easily skipped because it's painful to read the childishness when Chloe enters the scene. This ends Chapter 7 of Childish Force. See you next time for Chapter 8 if I can stop vomiting after reading this chapter. Take care.